and welcome to the latest update in the Sunday Independent Ireland Thinks poll. Now, we asked members of the public questions around budget spending priorities, climate change, sport, e-scooters and the state of the political parties. Now, to break all this down for us is Kevin Cunningham, pollster with Ireland Thinks. Kevin, welcome to the studio yet again. And we're going to interrupt people's 99 devouring activities on their summer holidays to talk about the state of the parties. So tell us, where are the political parties at the moment in the latest poll?
Yeah, so we've got Fine Gael on 20. That's no change. I mean, by the way, there's generally speaking not much change, but there's interesting trends here. Sinn Féin are on 20. That's up 1. So the two parties are in the lead, followed by Fianna Fáil on 16. Now, this is interesting because this is a development we've seen in the last couple of months where Fianna Fáil are starting to fall behind the two parties, particularly Fine Gael. There's a 4-point gap now between Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil, which will certainly add pressure to Micheál Martin, and much more on that later. Social Democrats are down 2 to 10%. That's just coming back off the kind of support that they got around the momentum they had around their by-election win, but still obviously double figures. Independent Ireland 7, Aontú up to 7. That combination, Independent Ireland and Aontú, 14% between the two parties.
Right.
Quite considerably another kind of pillar in Irish politics, should there be some sort of momentum or some ability for those two parties to kind of coalesce. Labour and Greens and Solidarity PVP still on 3 and 2%. No change there at all. So it's an interesting thing. We're seeing kind of consolidation on the right to some extent, but also this gap for Fianna Fáil, which is going to be quite interesting. We also asked some other additional interesting questions around coalitions.
Yes, so we have a new question in this month's poll around essentially who wants to go into bed with who, essentially who wants to go into coalition together. Asking the voters of whoever they vote for, essentially who would they like to see their main party, their favourite party, go into coalition with. Yeah. Because as we know, I suppose the trend in Irish politics now is that it's very unlikely that any party will get an overall majority in the Dáil, and so they'll have to essentially do deals with each other and create coalitions. At the moment, obviously, we have Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael supported by some independents. But what is the future? Tell us.
So this is interesting for a variety of different reasons. I mean, this is the kind of thing that the voters wanted to know out of the politicians, but obviously they don't like giving it away too much. So if you look at the Fianna Fáil voters, what's acceptable and what's unacceptable in terms of potential coalition partners? Well, 93% of them believe that Fine Gael is an acceptable coalition and partner, just 5% unacceptable. And obviously, you know, if you're a Fianna Fáil voter and believed that it was unacceptable, broadly speaking, you're probably not going to support Fianna Fáil anymore. And lots of people certainly left Fianna Fáil on that basis.
And the converse is true then of the Fine Gael voters. They equally support that coalition with Fianna Fáil.
Yeah, 92% believe it's acceptable. Now, it drops off very significantly. For other parties, as obviously the Social Democrats is the kind of clearly the next favourite, particularly for Fine Gael voters. 49% believe acceptable, a coalition option there. So, and then followed by Labour on 41. Fine Gael's voters are clearly next option, next bus stop, next kind of, you know, party options are essentially the centre-left parties. And then much further down the list for both is Sinn Féin. 93% of Fine Gael voters believing it's unacceptable to have a coalition with Sinn Féin. But interestingly, for Fianna Fáil, it's 87%. That figure is very, very strong. And it seems that it blocks off that as an option for Fianna Fáil in the future. And blocks off Sinn Féin, obviously, as well.
This is really interesting, and if you can just look at those two groups of voters in isolation, Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael, and their interaction with Sinn Féin, number one, what it says by my kind of read of it is that Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael have grown ever closer together, as we've seen since their coalition in 2020, in a way that their voters now are there's just wide-scale support for their coalition, and I think that's because they're each other's lifeline at this stage. One is kind of the other's table leg or chair leg, and their voters are very much understanding that. But the other thing that this is really showing is how isolated Sinn Féin are.
You're absolutely right. And when it comes to Sinn Féin, the Sinn Féin voters, 65% believe a Social Democrat coalition partner is acceptable, and that's the most popular option for them. And across the board, to be honest with you, the Social Democrats are just quite favourable to a lot of the other political parties. Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael, very unacceptable, 76 and 82%. Not quite as toxic as the other way around, I guess. But the other thing about Sinn Féin is when we look at the Social Democrat voters, that's kind of an interesting bit because 45% of Soc Dems believe they're acceptable as a coalition partner and 40% unacceptable. So there's a little bit of a division within the Social Democrats as to that particular option in relation to Sinn Féin. But even less popular is Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil for those voters. So they're 53% and 66% believing it's unacceptable.
That would of course ring alarm bells for the Social Democrats in potentially any conversation about going into government with those two bigger parties.
This is the thing, yeah. So I mean, clearly though that party leans towards, I mean, there's the soft left parties, a lot of support for going into coalitions with them. Sinn Féin is obviously the next most likely, but it's going to damage that party if it does go in. And obviously going in with those centre-right parties or centrist parties, that's even much more difficult. So it just highlights the fact that we're getting, as you said, this much more coalition politics. But forming another coalition government outside of that Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael coalition that exists is actually very difficult.
Again, looking at the Social Democrats voters, they'd rather go into government with Labour and the Greens ahead of Sinn Féin, again showing Sinn Féin is quite isolated in terms of the preferences across the Dáil.
Yeah, no, absolutely isolated. Oh, the other one kind of interesting to look at is that kind of independent Ireland ain't too type voter. Now obviously they're very toxic amongst the Social Democrats, not particularly surprising. They're more acceptable to some extent for the Fianna Fáil voter, and that's an interesting thing because we've seen over the last couple of months how Fianna Fáil have declined, and we've seen how some of that decline has gone to undecided, like quite a large percentage of it has in the last couple of years. So they might actually come back, but another chunk of that Fianna Fáil voter that voted Fianna Fáil at the last election, remember when they got well over 20% and loads of seats, and now they're down at 16%. A lot of them have gone towards independence, ain't to independent Ireland. So they've lost this kind of section of perhaps more rural, more conservative voters as well.
And can I ask you, taking into account, I suppose, some of those coalition who will go in with who and the state of the parties, a lot of the time, and especially the leader of Fianna Fáil will give out about polls and that they don't maybe show the party's performance. Is that something that is a trend where Fianna Fáil aren't doing well in the polls and then overall they do end up faring well actually at election time? Is there something to be said for maybe people saying they support them but in secret ballot actually putting down the preference?
This is actually a really interesting question because it was something I puzzled over for many years, and I remember last election we kind of really identified it. There's a section of voters that would have intended, if you ask them what party they like, they might not put Fianna Fáil down, but they actually have these really strong candidates. And this is a legacy of the 2011 election and how, there was a lot of candidates that would have got elected on their own name. I mean, even the posters would have Fianna Fáil in very small print after that kind of after the financial crisis and when the brand of Fianna Fáil was so low. As a result of this, when it comes to elections, Fianna Fáil always overestimate the polls, right? But the interesting thing about that is now starting to decline. The further we get from 2011, the weaker that kind of candidate-based advantage that Fianna Fáil have had is. And I don't expect Fianna Fáil to have the same level of increase relative to what the polls say. And you could see that in the recent by-elections.
Yes.
They did very poorly in the Dublin Central and Galway West by-election. And the Galway West one is in some respect a more interesting one because it reflected a certain type of voter that you're seeing move away from Fianna Fáil in significant numbers over the last couple of months.
A lot of food for thought for the political parties themselves, but let's look at the leaders. So we have the approval ratings of each of the party leaders. Some change here, and let's also talk about the Justice Minister, Jim O'Callaghan. You did an overall approval rating for him in the context of the other party leaders. So give me the rundown.
Yeah, so, I mean, Micheál Martin, for example, 35%, there's no real change. Simon Harris is up 1 to 34. The fact that they're actually kind of close, Harris and Micheál Martin, is actually interesting on its own. Because there's always been a bit more of a gap because Fine Gael voters have tended to like Micheál Martin. Holly Kearns of the party leaders remains the most popular, although she's come down a little bit to 38. Mary Lou McDonald is still on that kind of close to a record low figure of 30, and Ivana Bacik again similar to what she had last month. Jim O'Callaghan, we kind of often add particularly salient political leaders, ministers or whatever to this battery of questions just to see how they compare to those existing party leaders. And here we have Jim O'Callaghan on 42. this is not like a massively strong number. Pascal Donoghue used to have really, really high figures here, but it is interestingly significantly higher than Micheál Martin. So Micheál Martin 35, Jim O'Callaghan 42. And that's interesting because we did ask a number of additional questions in relation to Jim O'Callaghan, Micheál Martin, the standing down as Taoiseach thing, but also those other questions around the legal questions.
Yeah, so we have at the moment, obviously, the Justice Minister is going through a dispute with the criminal legal aid solicitors, and he is not for turning, not for backing down, and he's really taking them on, which is leading to a large-scale withdrawal from the criminal legal aid system of these solicitors from the free system for defending. So what have they said? Do they back him, I suppose, the public?
It's a great question. So the question we asked, and it's important to like emphasize the question itself, because the questions are very specific, obviously. So the question asked was, who do you support in the ongoing dispute between Minister Jim O'Callaghan and the solicitors? We didn't want to give too much information because then you can lead them. And in this particular question, you want to be a little bit wary of that. 49% said the Minister for Justice, 21% said solicitors, 18% neither, and 12% don't know. And that's just kind of neither figure just shows that for a lot of people there's neither of these particular.
It's not registering.
Well, that certainly in terms of the don't know, but also perhaps backing either of these is perhaps unappealing. It has to be said, and nothing to do with my view about solicitors, but in terms of a cohort of people, like you could imagine certainly if a minister was in a conflict with teachers or nurses or something like that, there might be a lot more sympathy. I'm not saying anything about solicitors, but I think maybe perhaps just the nature of this, it might actually be slightly easier.
Yeah. It's also, it has to be said, a very niche part of society.
Yes,
many people will never interact with the free legal aid, criminal legal aid system. But of course, a functioning justice system does underpin our society. But at the same time, it's a very overarching concept to filter down and trickle down to the public consciousness. So it's understandable in that way as well, not even looking at either party in that dispute. But interesting that he has broad support.
He absolutely, and the other question was Jim O'Callaghan right or wrong to introduce a flat fee per case in legal aid cases, regardless of how many court appearances the case takes? And 53% said right, 29% wrong, and 19% not sure. Not sure 19 is actually relatively high, which is indicating exactly what you're saying, that there isn't this. It's a complex issue. I think a lot of people wouldn't necessarily be quite on top of it, but it's obviously not damaging him, because we've asked this kind of question before about whether who should be the favourite to replace Micheál Martin when that time comes. There really isn't any change from last month, to be honest, on these figures. It's still around 80% or thereabouts who believe Micheál Martin should go before the next general election. And of those when we ask people who would they like to see as next leader of Fianna Fáil, still 52% indicate Jim O'Callaghan. There's a little bit of movement, but like within the margin of error. I mean, the next two are Jack Chambers and Dara Cleary. Very similar numbers. In this case, they've just flipped places, but they're clearly the next two. And that's always been the case. So if there is a race or some sort of competition to replace Micheál Martin, and obviously we only asked the next general election, there's a lot of belief that this might actually happen early next year, when Ireland's presidency of the European Union finishes. So that might be the case, and if that is the case, these are probably the runners around these three candidates. The budget will obviously have an implication. Certainly for Jack Chambers, I would assume. Let's
move on to maybe less about the actual politics and more about the policies.
Yeah.
So what do people want to see in the upcoming budget? You asked about budget priorities. There hasn't been a huge amount of movement. Cost of living is still very at the top there.
In terms of the overall priorities, cost of living is still at the top. Not huge movement, as you say, but it's 49% indicating cost of living is most important. There was a change just in terms of the order. It's kind of been creeping up over the summer, and not unsurprisingly. In terms of climate change, returning to the fifth biggest issue for the first time in a good number of years, to be honest with you.
Oh, that's interesting.
It had kind of fallen off the radar down to like 4 and 5% for the last couple of years, but it's interesting to see that back now to the fifth largest issue. Healthcare is still relatively low, which again is interesting because healthcare has always been historically a massive issue in Irish politics. Immigration's up again, 29%. That immigration issue is a big and quite influential issue. Housing is down to 44. So there's we still have the same main issues. There's a little bit of movement, as you would predict. But the thing is, the budget, right?
Yeah, and you asked a particular question, I suppose, about what should be prioritised, and gave them quite a binary question. So tell us about that.
Yeah, so there was one question here which was which of the following should be prioritised in the budget, and asking should it be tax cuts or public spending and investment. This is interesting. We asked this back in 2024 and it was 57%. It was a majority in favour of the public spending and investment. And what has happened now is that has flipped. Now we have 56% in favour of tax cuts and 40% in favour of public spending and investment. This is really interesting because if you go back, I would say 10 years or 15 years, you would normally get around 65 to 35 in favour of public investment spending. This has been ebbing away. I've noticed that we haven't asked the same question that many times on this particular question. We've always included tax cuts and income tax cuts as part of a whole load of different options. It has crept up over time, and this might be because maybe the existing tax bands have been quite stable, and over time inflation has probably kicked in and people are finding themselves more likely to be in those higher tax bands than they might have previously. I think they call that fiscal drag. But yeah, it's interesting that tax cuts are more important, and maybe also it is a function of perceptions around things like the children's hospital or the bike sheds and all that sort of stuff, undermining to some extent support for public services and spending on public services. And if this perception of spending public services, I have done questions on that, looking at how that interferes with this particular question, and that seems to be quite critical in terms of how people end up swinging behind sort of tax cuts, essentially, at the end of the day.
This was a question that I really wanted asked this month, because basically the principle is, do you think your euro is better off in your pocket or in the government's? And who has the better spending power? And I suppose what you've said, after hearing what you've said there, certainly cost of living, because you're faced with the bigger bill each month, essentially, or the bigger cost of something every time you go out for a coffee or a pint or whatever it is you're having, pint of milk that might be. You're seeing the price go up, and you are left with less at the end of the month, and you are seeing the government doing these large spending programs, which are often taking an exorbitant amount of time that you're not seeing your bang for your buck straight away. So I really wanted to see this, and it's very interesting, and I suppose it's the crux of politics. What ideology do you want to follow? Is it to the right or to the left? And to the left wants spending investment or public spending investment, and to the right wants more of their own money in their pocket.
You're absolutely right. This is the fundamental premise of the idea that we have a kind of a left-wing majority in Ireland around public spending. I felt like we've had that for a long time, but this kind of shows that it is very much going in the other direction. Another question really kind of emphasises that as well, is which of the following should be prioritised in the budget: more spending or tax cuts versus protecting public finances. And the protecting public finances actually edges it, 48 to 46. I did not expect that. I thought it would be high, but I didn't think that that would be slightly larger than even the spending itself. So it does show how the Irish electorate, certainly now, does appear to have a slightly more conservative, maybe, view of the economy than it might have done so 10, 15 years ago.
There's an appetite for those cost of living measures like that universal energy credit again. There's 30% there that say that they want to see that. And they're certainly, looking at it, I suppose 2 months out, when we don't really know what's going to happen in the Middle East. It's very difficult to tell the future there. But certainly there will be a pressure on energy this coming winter. What would be the solution?
And look, you're absolutely right. It's one of these things that we've seen for a number of years having such a massive impact on who votes for who. the reason why this government was returned in such successful numbers, I guess, it like I think its grand total was a less than 1% decline in the total support for Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael. The reason why that happened was because compared to other European countries and other countries such as the US, I guess, that they were able to cover that cost of living crisis much more effectively and spent a lot more money. And we're seeing that kind of continual demand. But the tax thing is interesting because we also asked, do you think Ireland's income tax system is fair? And 65% say no, and 27% say yes.
I suppose is that kind of along the lines of no one's ever really happy, kind of that kind of a question?
Yeah, that's absolutely true. So you could argue maybe it's not fair from lots of different perspectives. But then the follow-up question is, do you think middle income earners pay too much, the right amount, or not enough? And 74% saying too much. So that really coalesces with this idea of tax cuts. Now, whether Simon Harris or Jack Chambers is able to kind of
has the money in the bank to do that.
To fully mitigate this.
Yes, and like you see there, the huge appetite for some movement around income tax for middle income earners. And of course, they're the people that this coalition is voted for by. So that's very interesting there. And I suppose there was some questions about whether the government would plan to reduce income tax over a set number of years, in order to kind of index our tax bands so that we're keeping pace with inflation. And, the vast majority of people don't have confidence that they'll be able to do that.
Yeah, so do you think the government's plans to reduce income tax cuts over the next 4 years will be enough to mitigate inflation and the rising cost of living? And 70% say no. So there isn't much confidence in the proposed tax cuts. I guess there's an awareness of that, of both the kind of insecurity of the country's finances in some respect, and we've heard a lot of commentary from IFAC and the likes in relation to that, while also this underlying demand for tax cuts. And
so let's look at some periphery issues that you ask questions about, and particularly, I suppose, the very salient point in people's mind at the moment about climate change, because of what we're seeing with wildfires, both in Ireland, which many were started by humans, but were more severe because of climate change. And then, of course, the absolutely raging wildfires that we're seeing in France and other European countries. So talk to me about what you found out from the public in relation to their attitudes on climate change.
I mean, as I mentioned earlier, climate change is up as an issue. Now, it's not as big as it had been. If you think about its peak as an issue, it's kind of in advance of the 2019 European elections. That's when it really kicked off as an issue. You had Greta Thunberg, the Green Party did really well, and coming into the general election that year, the Green Party obviously did very well in the general election. It did decline, and it's come back a little bit. And in the context of the wildfires, do you believe Ireland is well equipped to tackle increased wildfire risk as a result of hotter summers? 78% say no, 11 yes, 11 not sure. So, there isn't much confidence in that respect. I thought this was an interesting question. Following the hot weather, do you expect summers in Ireland to become even hotter over the next decade? Or is this just a blip? And I think that kind of encapsulates the idea of, is this climate change? Is what we're seeing this year? And are we expecting more? And 66% say they expect hotter summers, and 26% say that they believe it's just a blip. So that shows the kind of the sense there that there is more to come in this regard. We asked people how serious a problem they thought climate change was on a scale of 0 to 10. 22% said extremely serious. A further 20 said 8 or 9 out of 10. A further 24 said 6 or 7. So the data really leans towards believing it's an extremely serious problem, with relatively small numbers on the other side. So even though sometimes with the fuel protests and a sense that there's a rise in conservatism, particularly around the issue like immigration, that doesn't necessarily appear to be the case when it comes to issues like climate change. It still does seem to be a persistent majority that might take what we might otherwise believe to be the more liberal perspective on that particular
because
issue.
even when I read that first result, people expecting a hotter summer, I was like, I wonder, are people saying that with a bit of a smirk because they want people, Irish people, we want a bit of sun in the summer. But as you see there, as you say, the results, people, it's cutting through how serious it is, and people are actually respecting it for the issue it is, rather than belittling it, questioning it. But there is still a portion of people who don't believe, essentially, or aren't convinced. A lot to digest there, but thank you so much for taking us
Thank
through
you.
it all. And you can read all about the poll results in today's Sunday Independent. Thanks for tuning in.